show you guys a little conundrum that I have. By little, I mean... Oh, where are you guys? Where are you? I mean that I went out to feed the chickens and give them hay today. And I saw that where I keep the hay was compromised by water. Because we finally have rain out here in California. And Mama Mouse ran off to probably never be found again. And I had to spread the hay, which left these guys running amongst chickens. And if you know chickens at all, that wasn't a good place for them to be. So I managed to rescue most. Chickens are like little dinosaurs, if you don't know that. But yeah, you can see why I can't just let one little cute mousey run off into my garage and barn and stuff, because they are not one little mousey. They're a whole little swarmy of little mousies. But pretty darn cute and delicate too. You should have seen them at 7 in the morning dumped out into the frosty, muddy ground. They kind of had that sleepy kid look. Like, Mommy, I don't want to get up. So I felt pretty darn bad because I just put mine on the bus. So, anyhow, if I find a good spot, I will show you the release. I think they'll be fine. They're cleaning and they're chewing, and they'll probably just blend off into the cycle of life. Welcome back to another Quest for Treasure on the Quest for Details channel. I'm going to show you some of the size of these oaks out here. I mean, they're just massive. This is me, I'm 6'4" plus. And things just gigantic. I mean, the chunks of skin are bigger than my fist. Bark, tree skin, whatever you want to call it. But what we're doing is we're going out to a house site that was standing until a recent fire, and the chimney is still here and all the remnants. It was 2 stories tall, and it was here till about a year ago, and so this was habitated until you know, probably the late 70s, but was lived in before that for 100 years. And this is what it looks like now. I wish I could have showed you the house when it was standing. It was beautiful. It wasn't a kit house, it was custom wood. Kind of Victorian, more ranch house. What do we got? The ground is just littered, so I didn't bring metal detector. We're just gonna do ground scores. That looks like really old bicycle seat, doesn't it? Here's another part, definitely bicycle seats. Oh, man. So, already some age to stuff. Let's look around. I should know what that is. It's part of a clay thingamabobber. I think it's the bottom inside. Wow, no kidding. Right here in the middle of everything, I thought it was a little piece of melted aluminum. A little dollop of melted metal. And when I picked it up, it's really heavy. I'm flipping it over, and do you see that? Come on, it's got some weight. It's definitely a melted nugget of metal. We are right here by the fireplace, so we're in the main living room. We're under the boards. We're in the old bar. But look, I'm not joking. Is that gold or brass? Oh, now we're gonna have to figure out a way to test it. God. People, that was way too easy. Let's look around. Then we'll come back to this. I'm gonna buff it with my shirt and see what color it turns. Okay. No joke, that's either gold or brass. You know? I can't tell by weight, but it is a nugget of molten something. Oh, it's got some weight. I don't know if the color's coming in. Let me tilt towards the light in a couple of ways. See that? Those are the dimples, are the stones and things that it was sitting on when it melted. That was the top. I mean, this could be a ring under the floorboard of a house that got lost way back in the day, or a coinage, or anything. Okay, we'll put it in the pocket and we'll move on. That was just the first find, but I'm excited. Okay, I'm poking around by the fireplace. You can see this stuff is old. Made out of just the raw stones. Bricks set on top. Oh, and I can see other people have been here. So, it's pretty cool. Right? Kind of strange, but pretty cool. But do you see the missing stone where all the gold was hidden? Let's look around a little bit. Gold coinage. Just one stone, one ring that was hidden in there. Do any of you wiggle? So people ask me, how much treasure do you think there is out there in the world? And so I kind of relate the same scenario over and over and over. So let me explain this to you how I see it, because I see treasure being ever lost, and mostly lost, in fact, probably. So we'll take a second. The way that treasure gets lost is that even now, it's hard to find a place to keep your valuables safe. So you use banks and you use lock boxes, which are pretty modern and only convenient, never have been if you live near some place where you can get to them. And if you do, you still have to travel to the bank. You have to travel to that space where you're hiding it. Anytime that you travel with treasure, water, land, anywhere, whether it's barons, your own stupidity, you know, robber barons, pirates, whatever, okay, you can lose your treasure. But the most common way that I think that people lose their stuff is by not returning to it. And by that I mean that we hide everything, right? Everybody's got their private spot where you stash stuff. You even have things in places that you hope nobody ever finds. That's why they're secret, that's why they're hidden, whether they're precious or embarrassing or whatever. So, more true when you get out into the wild, when you get out in the frontiers, when you get out into history. And so anybody traveling anywhere doesn't bring everything precious with them, right? So if you're not bringing it all with you and you have precious things, you also don't just leave it laying out on your counter unless you're extremely in a safe spot, which is really rare in the world, everywhere still to this day. So you find places where you can hide it, your catch, your nearby hiding spot, your little safe, your hole in the tree, the spot in the fireplace, whatever. Even if it's just your rifle and your ammunition and your little bag of gold coins or whatever that you're not bringing to trade for skins, whatever it is. And then you have to travel for days. I mean, the farther back in history it was, the harder it was to travel, the more dangerous and whatever. So just getting to the place where you're getting was dangerous. Bad roads, natives, enemies of any sort, whatever, sicknesses, falls, horses, wagons, the whole deal. Just to get there to what? Party, trade, not get arrested, hopefully not get sick, not get put in jail, not get sighted, ventured too far and be able to get back where you're supposed to go to, not get sunken by some other ship while you're trying to be a pirate, whatever it is. So you see my point, you have a hard time getting back to where you were. If you do, you're your stuff is there. If you don't, if you're the other percentage, then your stuff is lost. If nobody knows where your secret stuff is, they can just see that empty cabin. It burns down, the millennia move on. Nobody knows the better for it. Your little bag of gold coins is still sitting there in the hollow tree. Nobody even knows there's a cabin there anymore. It happens all the time. People are blown away. Wow, there's still treasure in the world. I'm like, no, 90% of it probably hasn't been recovered. The death tolls for people in the old days and anything that they were doing were massive. People didn't live that long. The world was way more rough, and so a lot of times they didn't get back to their goods. So that's my little, you know, that's my legitimacy for constantly hoping to find the golden catch or the golden ring. Stuff gets dropped in your own yard where you can't find it that you know is precious. And you know, my grandfather lost a ring in his garden one time, or a diamond out of a ring, and then forever that was the joke. If you're digging by the raspberries, look for that diamond, you know. So it can happen in modern times and be right there under your nose and you know it, and you can't find the treasure. So good luck. I hope that inspires you. That inspires you. We're in these huge rocks over here. I was trying to take a break out of the wind. And yeah. Off we go. Let's look around some more for the hidden things. What have we? Obviously a Lincoln Memorial penny from 1956. I like it. Go ahead and hang on to that. Heart-shaped piece of glass. It's all molten. It got hot. There's been a lot of good heavy rains after this fire, so it's a great time to come and look, because things are, ooh, look, things are washed clean, so you can see through what would have been layers of ash. The stones and harder objects are left here. So we got old spark plug next to some obsidian. So the guy that I spoke to that lived here said it was definitely an Indian mound, meaning who knows if it's a burial mound, but they definitely inhabited it. He said his yard was full of arrowheads and workings, so here's proof of that. Some of that clear lake gray. You can see how sharp that is. But yeah, it's the only rise above the marshes above Cache Creek here, so one good spot for people in habitation. Got another penny. I know they're just Lincolns, but they do kind of help with 1969 is the date on that. So I like that they're older. Pushes the scene of activity back farther here in our continuum. When you're at a site, the treasure that would be here for sure everywhere is the outhouse trench. Not just a pit, a trench, and that trench will have all of the garbage thrown in it. Now you might be like, why would we want to find a trench full of poop and garbage? Because if they were here 100 years ago, they were throwing their bottles into that trench, and everything else, which was only metal and glass and cool stuff to us now, and that's where it'll be. House. It'll be somewhere that they can walk to fairly short distance at night. Okay, we're all humans. You wake up, you gotta go. You're gonna go find a spot close by. So you dig your first hole and you start filling it up. And as you have your garbage and stuff, it was custom in the days, you were filling that in anyways, and you throw that in there half the time. And when that hole is full, instead of carrying it across the yard or finding some whole new location, you dug a hole right outside of the outhouse and shoved the outhouse over on it and filled the top of the old one, and in time that creates a trench. So when we're rebuilding old houses, we come across them. If you're in a yard and you hit a little pocket of bottles or something, that's usually the outhouse trench, and you can follow it across the yard. It'll go for 40 feet sometimes, and I've seen people pull cases of bottles out of there. So it's another clue. So any site that you're at that's old has an outhouse, pit, and trench going on, and their garbage dumps and everything on site. So it's all here. Just gotta find it. You see the old interior fence, meaning outside landscape, inside. Probably keep animals and stuff that they had around them. You can see we're up on the hill here from the inside, so gardens were probably in here. You see where the house was, and the old vine that grew up this tree was probably an ivy. It's all dead now. They're mostly fried out. When the bark comes off like that, there's no cambium layer left, and they can't pass moisture, so you know they're goners. But yeah, welded together fence made out of pipes, so definitely some Depression era Americans going on here. Ooh, nice trap, look at that. Should we kick it? I guess we're in the trap. Get out and hit your sights in early spring like this before too many plants grow. You can see all these little baby plants that are going to obscure the ground, and then you wouldn't be able to use your eyes for ground hunting. You have to have a detector. And then after too long, after a fire or something like this, then you won't be able to even see the ground anymore. They'll just be dead every year. So, don't know what that is, but I see a penny. We're gonna get rich off their pennies. 1976. Back stairs here. Use your sleuthing skills. That was aluminum. See the stumps that were outside of the house, that were along the wall. See the stairs, see the house line. Goes up like that, comes over. It was taller, it wasn't that big. And it wouldn't be where trees are, so you can see. We're talking right in here. Bam, up against these trees. There's the top of the house where it comes out on the roof line. So you can really see the footprint. So you can spend a lot of your time just right here going for interior house finds, although stuff could have been lost here. They did have sewer at some point. That's pretty much the sewer line coming out. So see the white porcelain broken up here, and the big pipe. Poopy's always the big pipe. And we got little pipes all clustered in here. So they had a little bathroom going on, but maybe not before that. So then you would go, okay, front of the house, outhouse probably right here. See the little dimp? Let's go look. Kind of right along the base of the trees. Ooh. Little chips of obsidian everywhere. We are at the base of a very volcanic area here. Window weight laying here. This is an older creature. That's what makes the windows go up and down in an old Victorian house, or any older house. That went inside the wall. This is like on the stage where they raise and lower curtains. That would be in the wall like a counterweight. I was lifting what I think are the cornerstones here to see if they put a lucky coin under it. Be time to reclaim that. And I find some mitten from old aminals that lived under their cornerstones. I should really have a digger and some gloves, but you know how it goes. Well, let me show you where I am. Right by the base of the old fireplace. I'm digging down because there's a mound here, and that's what just popped out of it. That is an old jar lid that came out of right here. Oh, maybe there's a bunch of coins in a jar buried under the floorboards in front of the fireplace. Maybe there's the rest of the jar and I'm going to cut my finger open on it. Maybe there's just the lid under the floorboards. Let's try and get that out of there so I can show you. Okay, I got this puppy apart. So there's what would be the top of the jar, which went on top of that metal cap, which feels really solid, like lead or pewter. And then out of that was this porcelain lined cap from Boyd's. Genuine. Look at the color of that. It's got some prettiness to it. That's awesome. You see the opalescence? So that was right there. There could be other stuff at that layer. And that's older. We'll have to look a little closer. I think we got... That's probably a modern zinc penny that got fried out by the fire. So never mind. Garbage! Well, that was awesome. I just met Moses and Sarah. The first actual fans that I've met while I was out on a quest. And they're out looking around. They're out driving around, exploring. That's the best kind of treasure that anybody could ever hope for. So thank you for that. That was pretty cool. Keeping it going. Okay. I got my digger with me. And we got an old round, new round. Hard to tell. Well, that's the next little thing out of the hole. A little bottle top. It looks like it's clear, it's just got dirt in there, but that's older. Let's see. So that seam goes all the way up, so it's after 1900s. You see the little seam by my thumb? It's hard with the dirt, but see how it goes over that? So that means that this piece and this piece were one single part when it was molded out of two halves of a bottle. Excuse the helicopter noise. It looks like there's emergencies going on a lot today. But that puts it after about 1900. If you see that applied top, it means it's a big old... Helicopters are cool, aren't they? If you see, like I was saying, that seam doesn't go all the way up, it means that this top was applied after the bottle was made. And even earlier than that, the seam will stop at the shoulder and the neck, and the top will be applied. So the farther down the seam doesn't, you know, older, newer, and then newest when the seam goes all the way up. But still a square top, a cork top or something, no threads on it. So it's about as old or new as the old ones go, I guess you could say. These are chunks of bone. You see the marrow to it, but they look like they are off something big and round, like a cow bone going on, or a horse. Knew a family who found an entire buried horse in a carriage in their yard when they went to put the garden in. That was the oldest house in Napa, actually. There's the rest of the bone, so you can see it's cut. Definitely a chunk of steak, chunk of meat. Wow, you guys, this is really cool. I'm I believe still inside the house, the interior of the house. I see plumbing and stuff sticking up all around me, and the person that had lived here before had said there was an old bar under the house, and I kept trying to figure out how it was under the house when the house didn't have a basement, as far as I could tell, or anything like that. So I dug down. I was going to go through this ash layers and stuff that you see here, and there's dirt. So this is lots and lots of dirt. You see the black ash from where it's burned. Let me zoom in on that. And then dirt. And then under the dirt are bricks, like a brick floor. And not a modern brick floor. I don't know if you can see this, but just bits of bricks and bits of stones cobbled together to make like a hard floor, but not even mortared or cemented. I pried this one up, and I don't really want to pry any more up. I don't want to destroy this for whatever reasons. But do you see that? That's like an old, I mean, that's the old floor. somehow or other, I believe that there was floorboards and new modern wood and everything over this, and I think that's what he was talking about. Underneath the old house was an old bar, you know, and I said barn, and he said no, not barn, bar, like where you would drink at, like a speakeasy, because it was here off the roads and stuff. So I think that's what it was. And you can see there's the floor and stuff we're looking at there. I mean, that's how big of a floor area it is. You can see my feet on there, and that's under feet and feet, or I mean inches and inches of soil, and located inside the house. So that's pretty cool. I like that. It's a little piece of pot or something. But it's got a little Dutch wheel on there. That looks pretty darn old. Kind of moved away from the house here to where all the modern debris were. And I think to where there might have been some out structures. And kind of looking through stuff here, seeing what there is to see. I've just been curious about the site for a while yet. So, taking a last day off here in the area to see what's here. And then we gotta move on a little bit. More obsidian. That looks a little worked. Hard to tell though. Not like a definite thing. This little teeny tiny piece of glass. What were you two, and how did you make it through all of this time? Something delicate, huh? Focus. Bubbles. Haha! Now this is really special to me. See that? And amongst all the other arrowhead, obsidian pieces, it's laying this. And that's a definite working, because that's coming off of an agate or something. That's not obsidian. That's just a natural stone that breaks kind of like it and is sharp. And what that debris means is that it's definitely not just volcanoes scattered here, which I can kind of tell, you know, because how the way things are broken up, and there's the chips off bigger things, not just molten globs of natural rock. But things can get broken up over time, naturally. But when you start seeing the other types of stones, a bunch of other stuff mixed in with it, I mean, come on, you're sitting in the basic, you're at a workshop of an ancient smith. Or maybe not so ancient, but not here anymore smith. Cool. See, here's a natural stone. There's the outside chunk of obsidian, but you can see the corner of this one being started here. See how they've chipped away at it, begun napping it. I think that was probably the natural break there that they saw, and went, maybe we can exploit that. But didn't get very far, and that's laying right here by the others. But what I was saying is that the marsh right over here, the big flat watery area that you wouldn't camp on, is where they are, it's basically the only preserved historical area that they have, and they're getting remnants pushing the dates of habitation back, you know, past the 10,000 year mark. It's one of the places on North America that's pushing archaeologists and anthropologists towards the 100,000 year mark. So you never know. The lake itself up there was here for 3.5 million years. This little hillock above the marsh and the river that drains out of it, that's the main outlet that you can see directly across the way there. Drains the entire ancient lake. And this is a hillock that faces the fields above it. That's been a house site until recently and is now burnt down, and we're getting to come up here and look through it, and that's what we're finding. We're out here in what would have been the garden. You can tell because I have catmint around me, and I have, where did it go? I'm on top of it, periwinkle here and there. And I don't know about you guys on the East Coast or where this comes from exactly, but out here it's not native. But they brought it with them everywhere. Just like you throw an ivy vine up on the tree, periwinkle in the yard. And look at that little thing. So one last note on finding workings from the natives is that I find them in heavy concentrations in one 8-foot circle or something, 12-foot circle. Don't quote me on the size exactly, but it seems to be all located in one area, and it won't necessarily be blown across the whole deal. And I think that is because you don't break a bunch of glass in your house all over the place. You do it in your workshop. So I think there was kind of agreed upon areas where you went and did your glass breaking. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this today. I did. I had a great little exploration here. There's lots more to be found, I'm sure. Maybe we'll come back with a metal detector sometime. The day is kind of wearing on, and I'm going to get on down the road. Hope to see you out there, and if I don't, I hope you have a good time. I'm going to try and keep getting you to exact locations. I realize that's an important thing to do. It's becoming ever more clear because I'm you know, blessed with having a lot of locals and stuff in the areas where I am to show me around over the years. So I'll try and figure out how to get everybody out to these spots more easily and better. Until then,